Hey, good morning, NC State and St. Thomas Aquinas Parish, and hope everybody is doing well. I know these days of quarantine are tough, and just Sunday's gospel about the disciples on the road to Emmaus and our Lord who goes out to meet them, and he appears to them in a way that is not readily recognizable to them, and yet we know that our Lord loves them, and our Lord wants them to experience the fullness of who he is. And just think about how often that we're not able to have the Eucharist during this time, but yet how often our Lord appears to us in hidden ways, because obviously we know that our Lord does not abandon us, that our Lord loves us, and our Lord wants us to have a relationship with him, and wants us to have a relationship with the people around us and the people that we are called to share our faith with. And so I think part of our life is discovering, especially during this time, is discovering how is God appearing to me? How is God revealing himself to me during these days? And just speaking of abandonment, I just wanted to recommend a few books to you all as we live this time of quarantine. And just the first book, which is an awesome book, it is called The Way of Trust and Love by Jacques Philippe, and just an awesome book on a meditation on the life of St. Teresa of Lisieux. How she gave and entrusted her entire life to our Lord. And another book that I just wanted to recommend as well, this is a little more of a theology book, and it's entitled Theology for Beginners by Frank Sheed. Frank Sheed was a street evangelist in England, and so he explains the truths of our Catholic faith, but yet in a very palpable way, very streetwise way, if I can use that term, so that we can understand some of these deep mysteries that we live in our Catholic faith. And even though it's entitled For Beginners, it's not, don't think of it as like for stupid people. It's actually a very deep book and can really help us to understand a lot of truths. Another book that I'd like to recommend during this time is a book entitled Spiritual But Not Religious by Father John Bartunek. And Spiritual But Not Religious just explains kind of the interplay between the physical world in which we live and yet that yearning, that calling that each one of us have to the spiritual realm, to experience God, and how's that interplay. And Father John Bartunek uses a lot of art, paintings and statues to explain that interplay. So especially for all of you art lovers out there, this is an awesome book to read. And then just the final book that I would like to recommend is a book entitled To the Heights, and it is a novel on Blessed Giorgio Frassati by Brian Kennelly. And I just recommend it. I love reading the lives of the saints and how they grew in holiness, how they grew in their love with God, how they impacted the lives of people around them. So as we're living this quarantine time, this shelter-in-place time, and I know especially for the students, you guys are about to enter into your final exam time. But anyway, just wanted to throw out this reading, now or even after your exams, which, count on my prayers for that moment. It's probably one of the most difficult moments that you all can experience right now, especially being far from professors and from your labs and even your classmates, which help you out so much in your studies. Once again, NC State students, St. Thomas Aquinas parishioners, I love you guys a lot, and and we will be back together someday. God bless you.